Alright, so we're over at Goji Center and he's going to tell us what it would be like to be eaten by Bloop, what it would feel like. And if you guys don't remember, Bloop was what people thought was ice that was breaking thousands of miles away, which was, I don't know. I believe it is a big fish because that's just way cooler. Anyways, getting eaten by this guy would be insane because it's massive and you'd be going down a trachea for millennia. It'll be 3 business days before we even get to his stomach. But anyways, I'm excited to figure out what it'd be like. Go check out Goji Center, check out the original link down below. Let's get straight to it.
What if you were just living your best life, swimming in the ocean or cruising on a ship, when suddenly the world beyond became a world within? The sea itself seemed to rise up and consume everything, leaving you in a dark hell of biological destruction and digestion. On this episode of Goji Center, we dive into the depths with all of our best, let's just say, in-depth equipment to see what horrid...
Bro, so from this, it looks like a blue whale, but the size of it, like, how do you get digested? Like, obviously, you can't swim faster than it can swim because it's so much bigger, so you'll eventually get to his stomach from it flipping its fins a little bit, but bro, the acid in this thing's stomach must be insane. I don't understand.
Those consumed by the ocean's greatest of apex predators. Today, we'll find out what happens if you get swallowed by the Bloop. First, let's break down what would have happened in a lot of those videos that are the bane of thalassophones. What if, for whatever reason, something this ungodly huge decided to go out of its way to target and consume humans?
That is true. The amount of calories and stuff would get
or some nightmarish scenario of the Bloop upstaging the movie Megs and swimming past a beach to scarf down a whole group of people. What kind of grisly fate can we expect for someone who goes down the hatch? Well, in today's science lesson, we'll look at some real-world biology that might give us some information. First off, put any ancient movie cliches out of your mind. Unless you got swallowed with a mecha suit and a lightsaber, you are not cutting yourself out. Soft tissue like those on the insides of animals aren't
but then
always
again,
soft.
With the lightsaber, but even if you're able to cut your way out with the lightsaber, whatever you just grab, you'd be so far under, like, so deep in the ocean that even getting out of it, you'll probably just explode from the pressure. I don't know.
The walls of things like the throat and stomach are muscular, flexible, and thick. After all, we squishy humans are supposed to be able to scarf down hundreds of times our own body weight worth of food every year of our lives. If we got sliced up by every loose piece of sharp or stiff material that went down our throats, we'd have cut ourselves to bits ages ago.
3 a day.
We ain't giving any of those poor suckers going down Bloop's throat any plot armor.
The nice thing is you're not getting chewed though, so...
cannons of sorts exist for the Bloop.
There goes the
However, there are some commonalities that might tell us what's going on inside. After all, this whole modern myth was started from what was a loud ice quake mistaken for an animal call similar to a whale. Only the whale would have been an order of magnitude larger than any known species. The popular image of the Bloop also does have a whale-like body, and some of the most popular videos about it, such as those by Boris Albois, featuring a colossal showdown with El Gran Maha, do call this large leviathan a cetacean.
That video is crazy.
Named after the Greek sea monster Cetus, are the groups all modern and extinct whales and dolphins belong to. While it is reasonably well known that whales evolved from land-dwelling mammals, the taxonomic family of mammals they belong to is the...
Brother, what the heck was that?
That whales evolved from land-dwelling mammals.
That is a crazy skull you got there, fool. There's a lot of skin to fill up all the gaps. Damn, that's a tiny ribcage. What? I would have thought it got a little bit higher, long here with a massive ribcage going at least a year. That is crazy. Bro, I don't know. Damn.
The taxonomic family of mammals they belong to is the relevant part here for our unfortunate Bloop victims. So, to start off, despite whales living in the ocean, they drink very little salt water. Their digestive system is specially tuned to absorb the water from the tissues of their prey.
More than we drink in a year.
This also means that whenever they take a massive gulp, all that seawater that wound up inside their mouth has to go somewhere. And with the Bloop sporting a row of slicing teeth lining its massive jaws, it might employ a method seen in other marine mammals. Filter feeding. Alright, before we proceed, we'd like to play a little game with you guys. Here are 2 test subjects, and your task will be to choose which test subject you want to be, and try to guess which of these is going to go out in the quickest and least painful manner.
Okay, so... dying to Bloop, well, stomach first of all will destroy the skin first of all the quickest, because let's first go through the suit. We don't know what it's made out of, unless he's going to explain it. So if it's maybe something resistant, corrosively resistant a little bit, then you'll last longer. This guy's dead much quicker, in my opinion. But If they get bit in half, it's the same. So, I mean, this depends. If they're getting bit in half, same as if it's just the stomach acid, because Bloop's not going to bite you. It's going to be so difficult because it's just got such a massive mouth. So, this guy's dying quicker. Yeah, test subject A, yeah, you're getting wrecked. You're getting wrecked, bro.
The dude in a swimsuit, or B, dude in a sci-fi temperature-resistant
Actually,
suit
C,
providing
because they're
some
probably
protection.
the same model,
You
so
picked one yet?
it's equal.
All right, good. Let's proceed. So, filter feeding, right?
Let's go with
For
B.
something like a
You should have
humpback
better
whale,
odds,
this
but then
means
again, they
filtering
make you
out
feel like
tasty
it does.
plankton from thousands of gallons of seawater. For something like the bloop, this now means filtering out potentially hundreds of beachgoers or boaters from millions of gallons of seawater. After taking a big gulp, the throat muscles and tongue contract and push forward. All of that water taken in with its victims is rapidly shot out from the mouth. In filter-feeding whales, this means the water is run out across hair like baleen. But instead, our pool of poor victims would suffer the same fate of small fish and crustaceans swallowed by creatures like crab-eating seals. They get filtered out from between clenched
what the
teeth.
heck?
Given the sheer size of the bloop, any people caught up inside the mouth would suffer one of two fates. Number one, either they are caught against the teeth and kept inside the mouth to be swallowed, or the sheer water pressure practically fires them through the gaps between
Look at
the
this guy
sharp
spazzing out.
That much pressure pushing
Bro,
that
I
much
can't.
water
Oh,
weight
that would be
into
so
a victim with
painful.
small
Not only are
gaps
you
behind
drowning,
them
but
could
you get
easily
your body
break their
messed
bodies
up.
apart and
He's
tear them
just
limb from
spazzing out
limb
of
as they
here.
are violently eject behind them.
Dude,
Could
Boston,
easily
he's
break
just
their bodies
spazzing out.
apart and tear them limb from limb as they are violently ejected out. Body parts would be torn
Damn,
off,
bro,
necks
just cut
and
off my
spines
head.
would be
Don't make me
snapped
go
or
through that.
shredded, and a bloody
there
pulp
goes the
would
head.
wind up floating off into the water. And those might have been the lucky ones. After all, at least they went out quickly. The rest go further down the hatch. Quick parenthesis
bro.
here, you may have noticed we
Getting
used a
stuck in his stomach
smaller,
acid would
more
suck.
juvenile version to showcase this tour. That's because if we use a huge bloop, you wouldn't be able to see the people clearly.
Okay, so the specimen
to
he's
provide
using
an
is a lot
optimal
smaller
learning
because the
experience,
actual
we'll
bloop is a
continue
lot
using
bigger.
a small, juvenile bloop.
Damn,
Now,
that is a
let's
big
just
size
assume that the
difference.
physics already bent to let a thing like this
Bro, that's
exist is
horrifying
going
looking.
to continue to be
Bloop and all
bent.
white is
Otherwise,
crazy.
a hot-blooded mammal this size with this much insulating tissue.
All right, guys. So Alex has joined me because we were in a call playing some games. So let's continue. I can't remember what he called it, but they filtered it through their teeth so the water goes, but the food stays. So this was happening here. So it's spitting out most of the food actually as well because its mouth gap is still way too big for us, and then goes all the blood just to get some little bit of calories.
Here, you may have noticed we used a smaller, more juvenile version to showcase this tour. That's because if we use a huge bloop, you wouldn't be able to see the people clearly.
Yep.
So, to provide an optimal learning experience, we'll continue using a small, juvenile bloop. Now, let's just assume that the physics already bent to let a thing like this exist is going to continue to be bent. Otherwise, a hot-blooded mammal this size with this much insulating tissue would be heating up on the inside like a furnace. So, if we don't assume the temperature is pushed back down to normal levels for something like a blue whale, the insides of the bloop might become hot enough to boil you alive on the way down.
I wonder how long it would take you to get like
Those of you
30
wearing a
burns.
suit
That would
didn't
suck.
end up as steaming soup.
Because not only are you burning from like the stomach acid, you're also breathing in a shit ton of carbon dioxide because you're breathing it out so much that, I mean, you're not getting any fresh oxygen. So damn, you're drowning from air, you're burning, you're drowning, you're burning. Oh man, that would suck. He's got his tongue is sticking out yet. This guy.
Get to go out in an even worse way because there isn't just one stomach. Why?
What the heck?
So, despite their looks and carnivorous.
So when did Bloop get more than one stomach? Is it cows that have multiple stomachs? They have like 4, don't they?
I don't know, bro.
I think
I
cows
just know cow chow's grass. That's about it.
Yeah, and it tastes great. Beef's nice.
Oh, yeah.
Ancestors, whales are actually part of the Artiodactyla even-toed hooved animal family. Just stay with us. This will make a lot of sense in a bit. While most members of this group today are herbivores such as deer, hippos, and cattle, with a few omnivores like pigs, in the ancient past, some of this group were among the largest land predators to ever exist in the aftermath of the dinosaur extinction. And one common trait found across exist in the
that is some crazy teeth for a bull. Damn.
Aftermath of the dinosaur extinction.
It's a big head.
And one common trait found across most members.
Bro, those things are mad scary. Well, hippos are scarier. They're the scariest, maybe. I don't know.
Dude, if you jump into water and there's a hippo, you're fucked. You just accept defeat at that point.
I don't know, bro. Hippos they're scary quick as well. It is.
Oh,
I actually need to lower your mic a little bit. You're damn louder. Actually, no, you need lower, bitch.
Can you hear me chewing my chips, bro?
Yeah. I can hear everything. I can hear you crackling the papers. I can hear everything, bro. Damn. Okay, maybe we should raise a GoFundMe so you can get a noise cancel. I don't know. Bro, noise suppression for your shit.
Whales included is
we're
that
gonna
these
start a GoFundMe
creatures
so we
have
can get you a
multiple
fucking
stomach
mic.
chambers,
Using a
the
headset
same
mic.
mechanism that helps.
Hopefully when you get a better mic.
Shut up, bitch.
No.
Shut up. Listen, it sounds fine. It doesn't sound that bad. Although it's been cucking out a little bit lately.
That's fucking terrible, bro.
Shut up.
Keep playing the video.
Shut up.
A cow break down
Keep
tough
it.
grass helps whales process hard-shelled crustaceans like krill. And unfortunately, in our scenario, some not-so-hard-shelled people. Entering the first
Bro, why
chamber,
everyone has the same hair?
forestomach
The hairline is
compartment
gone.
doesn't mean a direct dunking into the stomach acid yet. Keyword being yet.
This is
But
for
abandon
educational
all
purposes.
hope, ye who
Come on.
enter here. Instead, this compartment is full of digestive microbes that help in breaking down
Bruh.
certain keratinous structures. For
That's
our
fine.
unfortunate bloop victims, this means nails, hair, and
But you're
skin
also
start
suffocating
breaking
on the way,
down,
so, like-
softening and sloughing off after they are covered
Oh.
in vats of pre-digestive enzymes and microbes.
Bro, it's becoming a
Someone would
zombie.
have to survive asphyxiating to death from all the gases produced by these microbes, replacing a lot of the oxygen with toxic levels of carbon dioxide and methane. If they
Yeah.
did by being lucky, or rather unlucky enough to be wearing something like a scuba tank
Yeah,
to
we
breathe
lost-
from,
the
they might have
torture
wished
would be
they
so
went
much
out the
longer.
other way. The forestomach in some species of whales isn't just a fermentation chamber, but a heavily muscular organ that helps to separate out
heck?
the edible
Is
from
that
the
actual
inedible.
inside?
And it
That looks
sometimes
so
does this
weird.
with brute force. Despite their huge size, whales can have surprisingly compact innards, even scaled up to the size
Bro, that's
of the bloop,
actually
the opening
this is actually like a 3D model app that's going on here because you can see them actually like zooming in.
have
What
surprising
the shit is that? Are you playing a
What is that in
metronome?
the background?
Sounds like playing a
I'm so
metronome.
glad I'm not the only one hearing that. What the fuck?
The heck was that? I thought it was
Did
like
you
a
also hear that?
yeah, like doom doom doom.
Oh wait, I think that's Fortnite, bro.
That was Fortnite.
What the fuck? Okay.
What the shit? That was so weird.
Oh, dude.
Anyways, let's continue.
compact innards.
This
Even
is such a
scaled
good
up to
reaction,
the
guys.
size of the
Subscribe
bloop,
if
the
you want more
opening to the
amazing
next
stuff like
chambers
this.
of the stomach are substantially
man, I'm
smaller
such a
than the
professional.
forechamber. So things need to get
Absolutely.
broken down before they continue on. For our unfortunate bloop victims, this
Fuck, the
also
middle one
means
is
that almost
broken.
anything inedible or unpalatable that the bloop
Unfortunate.
has swallowed, intentional or otherwise, is kept inside the forechamber. And when the muscular walls start contracting
Oh,
and
man, this
flexing,
still
all
just
of those
doesn't
inedibles are
Why
going to
does
be
it look like
sent crashing into the
I thought it was plastic cups. What's it? Is it
Oh,
like
man.
There would be no time to get
Bro,
your
that
bearings
looks so
or try to
dank.
escape.
Looks yucky.
Within moments of arriving, you would find yourself with thousands of pounds of broken bones, squid beaks,
Bro, you'd be
rocks,
getting
and other
impaled.
swallowed objects falling on you like an avalanche as parts of your
Oh.
body are sloughing off. In effect, some whales
Sloughing
chew
off.
with their stomach, and this whale of a whale is no different. Ground and crushed into a pulp, the edible meat floats to the surface as what is left of you joins the grinding remains. Some
Become a
of one
pulp.
victim's
Become
bones
nothing.
might wind up helping crush a future victim. The rest is shuffled into the main digestive stomach chambers to
That's
be
crazy.
further broken down and
you,
consumed.
you said
Anything
you become whatever that can help destroy a future victim. That is crazy. You just assisted in murder. But at least you're not gonna be caught red-handed. So
that
you know.
remains would be spat up eventually to litter the seafloor with whatever
Although you
is
only
left.
are red, so
At
you
this
become a
point,
power
there
at that
wouldn't
point.
be
So I
a
don't know.
point to covering the rest of the digestive journey. Even if a victim somehow survived the violent journey through the mouth,
How you
somehow
gonna
had
see,
their own
though?
oxygen
Unless you have,
supply,
like,
and
lights.
somehow was inside something
Yeah.
sturdy enough to avoid being crushed to death, getting dunked into thousands of gallons of digestive acid would be curtains for anybody. Dead men tell no tales in the sea, and the victims of the bloop suffered probably one of the most horrific of all
I don't
fates,
know.
depending on what step they perished in.
Oh,
Alternatively, the bloop might have the ability to produce its own kind of wax, similar to what sperm whales
Wax.
do. This wax, called ambergris, coats material that gets stuck in the forestomach and helps it get back up when the whale needs to hit the purge valve. This
Huh.
wax can
That's the
sometimes
first I've heard
wind
of
up
it.
on beaches, at first smelling like straight-up feces, but after it ages, it has
Huh.
a distinct aroma that sometimes ends up being used in some high-end perfumes. So
Yeah, I've heard
some
of that.
vacationer or fisherman could perhaps discover
I've
a
actually never
human
heard of that
skull
before. That's
embedded
actually pretty
within
cool.
the waxy capsule as all that would remain
I know
of
some
you.
colognes use
And
like
in
shit
this
and stuff inside of it.
the frick? What?
Yeah,
The shit.
it's weird,
Bro, this little skull in the rock here was reminding me of, like, remember in the first Jurassic Park movie, this mosquito in the amber. They can extract this guy in like however many years, and then they're gonna make a clone.
Alternate universe,
Human
don't be
dinosaur.
surprised if the victims of this giant cetacean end up in a perfume bottle. That would be the fate of anyone consumed by the
crazy.
internet's favorite marine urban legend. But what about those unfortunate enough to meet
Bro, you're like
our
weighing people at
bioaccurate
that
version
point.
in the
Like
open ocean
Hannibal Lecter,
while
but
it
like,
has an appetite?
ugh.
Unlike the urban legend version popular on the web, Cryocidon setavenator is not a whale, but a hunter of whales. This
Cryocidon
gigantic
Setavenator.
beast doesn't look like a monstrous
name.
axolotl for no reason,
Yeah,
as it is
axolotl,
actually
baby.
a type of marine amphibian from a bygone era. So how
Bygone.
might a not so
Let bygone be
fantastic
bygone.
voyage
Bro, look
down the
at 3
hatch of the
noses.
sinister salamander
Wait,
play
what
out?
the?
How
Look at
might
that.
a not
Look at its nose. Look at these 2 nostrils. Then look.
Yeah.
so
It's got
fantastic
teeth going
voyage
through it.
down
Look
the
at that.
hatch of the sinister
What the shit is-
salamander
what
play
the
out?
heck?
Time to find out. Just
Oh,
like the
it sports teeth inside of its mouth to go through so that it doesn't puncture.
Yeah. That's actually pretty cool. That's like that's such a crazy like way to adjust, because when you see what is it? Not sheep. Is it sheep? Sheep or whatever. When their horns grow and it starts going to like the side of their eye.
into their
or-
eye, yeah.
That's it's so
mountain
messed up.
goats, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, I think they any one of their horns grow forever, don't they?
Yeah,
So
but they're supposed to break it off against rocks.
damn, that's
Yeah.
crazy. That isn't.
hatch of the sinister salamander
Yeah.
play out. Time to find out.
Bro, that thing got
Just
so
like
many
the
teeth.
urban legend version, our Cetavenator will also engulf its prey rather than chew it up. While Cryocidon does prefer to hunt whales for
Now
a
that
far
is
more
worth the
substantial
calorie
meal,
intake.
it does filter feed smaller prey from
What is
time
this
to
guy
time.
doing?
With its enormous lifespan and lengthy
That was just what the X-ray on
filter
here.
feeds
Where
smaller
does
prey
something come
from time
from?
to time. With its
heck?
enormous lifespan and lengthy periods of inactivity,
Bro, looking like a
any
water
food
balloon.
will do. So, be it a young one trying to top itself off, or an older one that can catch multiple victims at once, humans could wind up on the menu by accident or intention.
Bro, the calorie intake this needs every
amphibian
day. It's
employs
just
what is
not
called
gonna sustain
suction
itself.
feeding.
It's
This
gonna
involves
turn the
rapidly
world
expanding
upside
the
down.
carnivorous mouth and shifting the
Like
internals
crazy.
down the throat to create a vacuum wave effect.
That's
The sudden
terrifying.
change in water pressure violently
Imagine
draws
we did that
prey
when we ate.
along with a vast amount of
As soon as you
seawater
open a mouth,
into
it just
the open
starts sucking
cavity
all
of
the
the
food
mouth.
in.
This much water moving back quickly
That's just
so
because
suddenly is going
There's
to...
It's
Like
the
it's a
opening it with
change
them
in
putting the
pressure.
water in,
no, it's just a change of pressure, high pressure to a low pressure.
What's this bastard doing this far underwater with nothing on? An idiot.
create
This is why he
horrific
died,
pressure
fool.
waves. Blood vessels in the eyes could burst, and eardrums would almost certainly pop,
Oh.
potentially blinding
Oh,
and
bro,
deafening
the amount
victims
of
even
pain.
before they go down the hatch. Just like in whales,
cut my head
aquatic
off,
amphibians
please.
that swallow too much water try to eject as much of that out as they can to filter out the food they want. They
Axolotl.
just do it in a slightly different way.
Are they like
A
see-through?
sticky tongue helps in both pushing
Kind of.
water out from between
I know they
the
can
teeth,
they can
as
regenerate
well
any
as
part of the body,
capturing
right?
more victims.
Yeah,
Coated
obviously,
in
yeah.
viscous
Bro, they're
mucus,
crazy.
anybody still alive would be quickly immobilized and sent sliding down the
That poor
throat.
bastard.
Amphibians
Ow.
typically don't have multiple stomach chambers like whales do,
What
but
the
they
heck?
do have other
thing looks like a walking
digestive
poop.
assets to help the food be processed even before it hits the major guts. One of these would be the esophagus, which in amphibians secretes sticky
those
enzymes
eggs?
called chitinase. These serve a similar function to the
Chitinase.
forestomach
Chitinase.
agents
Sounds
in
like a
whales,
different
weakening and
kind of
corroding parts of the
fucking
body to make
It's
them
a
softer and
Temu
easier to
mayonnaise.
digest. Paralyzed, blind, probably deafened, and coated in enzymes, the next fate of cryocidin victims might just be one of the most
you're
horrific
getting
of all,
crushed as
depending
well.
on how
Look at his body
active the
elongate.
amphibian
So-
is. Because cryocidin is an amphibian, not a mammal, it's capable of what is called mesothermy. Mammals, which
Bro,
are
what?
always active and hot-blooded as endotherms, or inner heat, meaning their body naturally produces its own heat by burning calories for energy, most amphibians are ectotherms, or outer heat. They
Bro, these
rely
words,
on
bro.
outside temperatures
My
for
brain.
most of their body regulation. Mesothermy is the in-between of these states. In these kinds of animals, often localized parts of the body can be manually heated up to increase activity or speed up digestion. Great white
Ooh, so you
sharks
can
are
burn
one
even
such
quicker in the
example
stomach.
in the ocean.
Please do so,
As
'cause I
talked
don't
about
wanna
by
suffer
YouTube
if you
Science
eat me.
Education Facts in
Just
Motion.
make it
These
quick.
sharks insulated muscle movements and have a unique circulatory system to keep their core body
I'll
temperature
fucking
nice
dig my
and
nails
toasty by
into the
powering it
fucking
with
toilet
heat from
room
certain
before that.
Oh yeah, with your
I'm
guitar ass
holding my-
nails, bro. You be cutting that guy's head off.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Bro, I just make it quick. Just cut my head off. I don't want to be so freaking burning in corrosive acid and shit, bro. Just off with the head. Let it be that, so. I don't want to be there, bro. Nah, too many gas and stuff. Not me.
Yeah,
Look at this.
back at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like their swimming muscles. This helps with both swimming stamina, activity levels, and digestion as a warmer body digests food faster.
I'm talking about that. What is that? Is that like a dummy or something? I know that's a shark, dumbass. I'm talking about this.
And digestion
maybe
as
a
a warmer
dummy
body
or something.
digests food faster.
It is something. It looks like it is attached to a line.
If was up and active, its internal stomach would be heated like a furnace. This is actually the least worst outcome for anyone who survives the trip to the stomach cavity.
You see, that's just not worth the
stomach
effort.
was
You're
producing
not getting what you
plenty of
need
acid
from
to
that
break
meal.
down their body very quickly so that they can be digested. It would only take maybe a few
You're getting beaten
minutes.
to death by intestines.
If the Titanic tadpole decided to take a nap, however, that's where it arguably gets even worse. When amphibians decide it is time to rest, they have a remarkable ability to shut off and render some parts of their body dormant to save energy. So, if the cryocidin had already eaten well and had plenty of nutrients already broken down further along in the digestive system, by the time a human hits the stomach, the victim may land in a nearly vacant chamber. The amount of stomach acid would be lessened, the air and other gases would be pumped out, surroundings grow cold, and they would just be
and your body gets contorted and twisted and
paralyzed, half digested, possibly blind,
and almost out the
left
pooper.
to nearly rot as the living tomb that had consumed them decides to rest.
The living
hibernate.
tomb.
You would not want to be the leftovers for the god of the frozen seas. At that point, you might almost wish another titanic force, like a horned sea serpent from a bygone era, might arrive to challenge that whale-hunting god,
like,
both to keep either from consuming more and perhaps speed up the fate of any condemned to its cavernous void.
That thing's crazy. But the merch is just so good. What are you tippity tapping at, bro?
I'm just typing the message to your mom, right?
Anyways, this is crazy. I don't. This guy I thought was the bioaccurate Bloop, but apparently not. But getting eaten by any of these fools would just suck. The amount of suffering is just annoying. There's no quick way out of it. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe. Especially if you guys are hating this keyboard sound as much as I'm. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, you guys. Yeah, so see you guys in the next one. Peace.